Owner-operators and contractors are some of the hardest working people out there. They love what they do. They do incredible work. But at some point or another in the business journey, I think just about every one of us have come to a point where we look at the work we've done this year and we look at our bank account and we're like, how on earth is that possible? How am I going to pay my bills next month? How am I going to make it work through the winter, etc.? And we know, we've been there. My name is Weston Zimmerman. I grew up at a company called Tuscan Landscaping, spent 15 years there, and we built SynkedUP out of our need to solve this problem of how do we know if we're making money or not? How do we price our jobs correctly? And what we found is that there's really ultimately two ways that contractors make or lose money. And I'm going to show you something that we've created called the profit triangle. And to create predictable profits, we need A, to make sure that we're using the correct math. B, to make sure that we're estimating the correct quantity of resources in our estimates, like think man hours and materials and that kind of thing. And there's hundreds of ways to lose money in a business or in a job, but all of those ways kind of all roll up to one of these two categories. Either we don't have the right resources in the job, in the estimate, or we're not using the correct math. And to fix that, we have to solve both of those problems so that when we're incredibly hardworking, having happy customers, proud of the work we've done, there's also a reward in the bank account rewarding us for the work. And in our own experience, what we did is we built something that we call the Know Your Numbers flywheel. And that's really what embodies the vision of what SynkedUP is. So SynkedUP is a project management software that solves both of these problems in your entire job workflow. And what I mean by that is what we do is we first build a budget so that we enter every dollar a business spends to keep the lights on and all the dollars we spend on labor and materials, etc. And what the budget does is it calculates exactly what our man-hour rate should be and our overhead recovery markup should be. Now that we've got those numbers, we can go to estimating and estimate the jobs with correct math. So we plug in all of our estimated man hours and materials and expenses, and we get a job that's priced for profit according to math. The first problem, the math problem. But we still aren't 100% sure whether we have the correct amount of man hours and the correct amount of materials in the job. So what we do is when we go do the job, we track those actual hours and materials and expenses so that we can A, see real time how we're doing, how we're tracking on the job, are we on track, off track, but at the end, so we can spend 2 minutes, just put 2 minutes of your eyeballs down to reading the data so that you can see estimated versus actual. Imagine that I estimated I would take a job for 100 hours and it actually took me 150 hours to complete. Even if I had correct math, flawless math, if I estimated it would take 100 man hours and it actually took me 150 man hours to complete, I still lost money, even though I went through all the other motions of building a budget and finding my man hour rate, etc. But now that I know that, I have the power and the knowledge to go ahead and make a more accurate estimate next time, and that's why we call it the Know Your Numbers flywheel. Every time you go around this circle, the more accurate you become. So that is the principle, the vision, the how, and the why of what SynkedUP does. Let's dive into exactly what these two problems being solved look like. So to show you the concept really quick and dirty, just super simple on how to fix the math problem, I'm going to use a free resource that you can access as well. It's just at this URL, synkedup.com/man-hour price calculator. It's a tool that we developed just to kind of provide people and help you see like the principles of how the math works. So let's pretend that I charge $65 an hour right now, okay? Now let's pretend that I've done some work and I've figured out that for all the employees that I hire, as well as my own time if I'm out in the field, my business might spend $150,000 a year in field labor costs, all right? And those $150,000 of field labor costs represent about 6,000 hours of payroll hours. And of those 6,000 hours, about 1,000 of them are unbillable, like logistics, washing trucks on rain days, trainings and meetings, and going to events together as a team, etc. Then I do all the work to come up with like all my overhead costs, and I figure out that it costs my business $180,000 a year to keep the lights on, and let's say my profit goal is 20%. What this tool is doing is it's solving the math problem in principle. It's taking the cost, it's finding my cost, my direct costs, and then it's finding out, it's looking at my overhead dollars and it's dividing them across the man hours that I worked that year to come up with $41 per hour that I have to recover just to keep the lights on. Then I add my profit to that, and I come up with my $82.50, hypothetically speaking here, that my business has to charge to cover my costs, break even, and make a profit. And at my $65 an hour hypothetical rate here, I'm actually undercharging by $17.50 or over $100,000 a year. And so that the whole point of this tool is to show you the inputs and how they work to come up with like how you need to find your man hour rate and the cost, the opportunity cost of ignoring or not fixing this problem or not paying attention to this problem. That's a big number, $105,000. Now, just to play with it a little bit, watch what happens if my overhead costs go up to $200,000. Now my man hour rate goes up $5 an hour. And what if I can hire an employee and work another additional 2,000 hours a year? It actually can go down because I am producing more hours. But hang on a sec, I forgot to put in what I pay that person. I also am going to pay him $50,000, so now I need to put in my increased labor costs. And so you see how these inputs play with the output and you get your perfectly priced math. Now, what I want to show you is how SynkedUP does this for real in the software, because this is just quick and dirty. It's intended to just show you the concept, but now we need to make sure that these inputs are actually right. And when I go to the SynkedUP software, here I am on the SynkedUP software dashboard. I'm going to jump into the system setup section and go into the budget worksheets where this corresponds exactly with that man hour calculator. So here's the labor input, here's the overhead input. You see the correlation? But in here now, instead of just typing in a big fat number, I'm typing in every employee that works for me, what I pay for them, how many hours they work. On the overhead tab, I'm putting in every individual expense that my business has to keep the lights on, and I can flip over to the tab at the end and see exactly to the penny what my business needs to charge to cover my costs and make a profit. And you know what's beautiful about this? If my insurance goes up, I just come in, I update it to what the new number is, go back, and look at that. My man hour rate is dialed to the penny for the very next estimate I'm sending out to Mrs. Jones tomorrow. It's a beautiful thing that allows you to automate the whole math problem and move on to other problems, like such as the resource problem. Let's go check that one out. So to demonstrate how we solve the resource problem, the second problem that's a profit killer for contractors, as well as saving time, I'm going to go to a section that we call templates inside of the SynkedUP software. The whole idea of templates is to take the information that's in your head, do brain surgery, and put that information into repeatable systems and processes while solving the resources profit killing problem. Usually how I do this is I ask, hey, what kind of job could you estimate in your sleep? Like you do it day in, day out. Let's say that's a patio. Okay, let's pick a hypothetical size of this patio. Let's say it's 500 square feet. Cool. Now, to do a 500 square foot patio, what do you need to do the job? Well, I need labor. I need some stone. So I'll drag and drop in my setting bed stone, my base rock stone. I'll search for my pavers that I'm going to need. I'll search for my joint sand or poly sand. And maybe some edge restraint. Yeah, you can throw in anything that you need. Now that I've got everything I need to do a job like this, the question is, well, how much? Instead of you just being 3 days, it's like, well, how do you know that? Well, from experience. Okay, cool. How do we reverse engineer that experience into a formula? Here's how. For a 500 square foot patio, you just told me it would take 3 days. Let's just do this. 500 square foot patio, 3 days. Okay, well, how many guys would be on that job? How many team members? 3. Okay, how many hours a day do you typically work? 10. Okay, so 3 crew members times 10 hours a day is 30 man hours a day. Times 3 days, that's 90 man hours. So you knew off the top of your head in experience that it would take you 90 man hours to do a 500 square foot patio like this. Bingo, we got our production rate. Now I'm going to ask you the same question for the setting bed stone. How much setting bed stone would it take you for a 500 square foot patio? 1.65. You just did the math and you calculated. Okay, cool. Got it. What about the base rock? It would take 14 ton, let's say. Okay, cool. Got it. What about the pavers? Well, I usually have 10%. I figure 10% waste. So I will do the 500 square foot, 550. Okay, got it. What about polysand for a 500 square foot patio? It would take me about 6 bags. Okay, got it. And the edge restraint is 1 stick per 10 lineal feet. Got it. Okay, now I got it. And I got everything I need in a checklist, and I have a formula saved for how much quantity of each product that I need. So, how does this solve the resource problem? Let me show you. Let's go pretend that we're going to go build a new estimate for, say, Alex Taco here, and let's pretend that we're building a patio job. I'm going to create a new work area. I'm going to say it's a patio. And now the question is, well, what do you need? Remember that template I built? Instead of me going through all of that again, I'll just find that template. Here it is, and I'll drag and drop it in, and bingo, I got everything I need to do the job. And I can type in, well, this patio is 600 square feet, and it gives me the exact quantities of what I need for every material and labor, etc. item that I have in this bid. So what I've done is I have established a benchmark for my quantity. So what you're looking at on this screen is in SynkedUP, how you build an estimate. The numbers on this side of the screen are the math problem, and that is solved by the budget that I was just showing you. The numbers in this column, the quantity column, is the resources problem. And that is first established with the template and production rate that I showed you, but we're not done yet. Now what I want to do, I want to know estimated versus actual, how I did after the job was done. So in this job here that already was completed, I'll show you, here's all my original estimate product, and here's all my actual product. And I can see it even more visually on the costing and analysis screen. I can scroll down and I can see estimated versus actual on every single line item in this job. Look at this one. I estimated 40 hours. It actually took me 62. This one I estimated 25 hours, but it only took me 17. Now I have the power. Now I have the knowledge to go back and tweak my templates and production rates to make a more accurate estimate next time. That's how we solve the resources problem. First, we codified into templates and production rates. Second, we track as we do the job so we can modify our templates and production rates and continually make them better and better and better and more and more and more accurate so that we solve the resources problem. And by doing that, we get predictable profits. So now that we've solved both the math problem with budgeting and estimating, and we've solved the resources problem by tracking and reading the actual data and comparing it to the estimate and making necessary adjustments and tweaks, we've got predictable profits, we've solved the profit problem. I want to go show you what the operational aspect of SynkedUP looks like. So basically in SynkedUP, once you've created your estimate and you're ready to send it off to your customer, you can generate a proposal, you can choose to show all or show some work areas, you can modify the descriptions if you want, you can show items and quantities and etc. on the proposal, you can modify or add your contract, you can modify or add your payment details, your payment schedule, and create the proposal and then send it out to the client. And you can also do automatic recurring follow-ups in case they forget to, maybe they looked at it and forgot to approve it or reject it. But this is what your customer will see. They will see a screen that looks like this with your logo, and they see a proposal where they can select or reject any of the options you shared with them. Your contract is right there. They can check off and sign and confirm right there, and then SynkedUP will automatically send them a down payment invoice directly from your QuickBooks Online account for you, and so seconds later they have an invoice they pay. So all you do is you hit send, they review, select what they want, pay the invoice, done. You're ready to schedule the job. Once the client has approved it, I can see exactly when they opened it, when they approved it, and I can click to see the assigned contract right there. Being it's approved, I can kick it over to production and go to the job scheduling system, and here in the sidebar are all of my sold jobs that are not yet scheduled. I can just drag and drop them over to the calendar and assign them to somebody. And I'll pick my buddy Phil here, and I can see I got 123 man hours, but I'm going to do an average of 3 people a day, 10-hour days, so 30 man hours a day, and it'll automatically figure out exactly how long that job should take. And then over here on the mobile app, Phil can see it right on his app right there. I can view the job details, or I can clock into the job, select my team, select what work area we're working on, clock in. Right from here, often what happens is, like, as a foreman, you're like, wow, okay, I'm cool, I'm clocked in, but what material do I need? How many hours are in this job? What should I load up on the truck to take along with me? And I can just open the job details screen right here. I can navigate to the job site, call the customer. I can see all of the descriptions that I need. I can see all the estimated materials and any actual materials I've used so far, which are not in here. I can see the total estimated versus actual labor and material for this job in real time. This is live data. I can see all the pictures and I can see the design right here on my phone. I can even see all of the notes that the salesperson may have left me. And go back, I had all that information right at my fingertips. And when I clock out, here's where the magic happens. Not only am I logging my actual hours, I'm also recording or giving the crew the opportunity to record how much material they used that day. So if they pulled some stone from the shop, yep, got that. Picked up a couple bags of polysand, got that. Cool. So I'm recording everything I use to fuel my estimated versus actual reports. And here I can leave notes for the back office, give the client an update, and done. And now when I go back into this job and just refresh, I can go straight to the visits tab and I can see every single time somebody clocked in. I can see what their timesheets were, what materials they used that day, what the quantities were, and I can override anything if they messed anything up. I can click into those and I can see exactly where they were located, and I can see the notes that they left me. I can see the notes they sent to the client, and I'll flip to a job now that has more, like it's complete, and here you can see what it looks like on a job that's been complete. Paper trail of everything that ever happened. I can click into any one of these and see exactly what happened. Costing analysis screen gives me the beautiful estimated versus actual labor costs, material costs, net profit, gross profit. Everything is right there at my fingertips. Time analysis of where I went over, where I went under. Material analysis of where I had more in the actual quantity than the estimated quantity. And I can drop down and see every single entry and who added it, when they added it. And this gives me the power to take this learning, to take this information and go make a more accurate estimate the next time. 3 months later from now, when I bid another job that's similar, I'll come back in here like, oh yeah, I underbid that, or wow, I overbid that. And I'll adjust to make a more accurate estimate next time. And that is how we solve the two problems for contractors, both the math problem with the budgeting and estimating, the resources problem with templates, production rates, and job costing, so you can have the power to know long before your bank account says that there's trouble. You know before the job's even done if you're on track or off track, and can take steps to minimize the damage or capitalize on the opportunity. The software integrates with QuickBooks. You can just go ahead and just create an invoice right from within here, send an invoice on over to QuickBooks, bingo, done. Easy peasy. And you can open the invoice in QuickBooks Online right from there and send it off and get paid. At a high level, that is what SynkedUP does. It solves those two problems. Estimating and budgeting solve the math problem. Templates and production rates and job costing solve the resources problem, plus save you a ton of time. We have contractors that go from spending an hour or two on every estimate to spending 2 to 10 minutes on every estimate. The time-consuming part is just getting the measurements. So if you're wondering where to go from here, the average SynkedUP contractor spends about $5,000 a year with SynkedUP and turns that into $50, $100, even plus $1,000 in net profit a year, just by saving time and correcting the math problem and correcting the resources problem. If you're interested in getting on a call, you can go straight to the SynkedUP website and just click on book a demo. Our goal is to make these calls not you signing up to be sold to, but you signing up to actually get real value. And what we'll show you on this call is we'll give you your own assessment of your quick and dirty man-hour rate, where you should be. We'll go through the exercise of actually building template to show you that, like, how the information you have in your head is enough to go start doing templates and production rates and saving time on your estimating. But we'll also answer any direct questions you have, operationally speaking, how SynkedUP works. Ultimately, SynkedUP solves a problem. The question is just, do you have that problem and do you want it solved? Does the shoe fit the foot? And if it does, we'll get you your login before we even hang up and get your onboarding process started. We have a full staff of people, experts from this industry, that are just here to help you get all of this information set up. So if you feel overwhelmed by what you're seeing here, don't stress. We're here to walk with you every step of the way. We're not here just to sell you a product. We're here to make you successful, not only for the next year, but for the next decade. Our vision is to make more contractors, as you can see on my screen, thrive, not survive, and help more entrepreneurs out there be able to own a business instead of the business owning them, and get their life back, get their Saturdays back, get their evenings back. No more estimating at 11 o'clock at night. So with that, thank you for following along. My name's Weston Zimmerman. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of the company. I would love to hear your thought and input. Just hit me up on the chat box of the website, or you can also hit me up on the DMs of Instagram. Hit me up there. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks for giving me the time to share with you what we do at SynkedUP and kill those profit-killing problems in business. Cheers.